Hi folks, Lance Vick here with Lake Fork Outdoors, and today I'm going to show you how I rig my Texas rigs. Now, on Lake Fork, I rig two rods for my customers throughout the day, and one of them has 15-pound line on and one has 20-pound line. And I choose which rod to use according to what area I'm fishing. If I'm in heavy cover and trees, I'm going to use the 20-pound line. With a bigger rod, a 7.5 foot heavy action rod, with a bigger worm, bigger hook, bigger weight. So let's rig up my 20-pound big fish Texas rig rod right now. So rigging a Texas rig rod, I'm going to want the right line, and I use 20-pound Berkley big game in the green color on my big fish rod with my big worm. Okay, and here's how I rig it. So this rod needs its line redone, so I'm going to do that right now. First thing I'm going to do, go ahead and cut off the worm, and I'm going to unspool the line, the older line that's already on the rod, and get ready for a new line. So I rig rods a lot, and this is how I do it. Go ahead, pull off the old line. Da, 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 da. So I'll speed this up for time's sake. I'm done with fluorocarbon. Big game was the line I grew up on. It casts good, it's strong. The green color blends well with Lake Fork, the green water in Lake Fork. Fluorocarbon, I think fluorocarbon has its places, but really day in and day out, I'm a monofilament man. I've gone through all the cycles of fluorocarbon. I'm back to Berkley big game in the green color, 20 pound for my big rods and 15 pounds for the rods that don't have as much cover. That's where I'm at. So I'm going to show you how I rig this rod. I've almost got the line pulled off of here. Now, to save time when I'm lining my rods up, I tie a blood knot in the line, so I don't have to go back through my eyelets when I'm relining. So I can do this quick. So there's my blood knot. I'm going to clip it, make a new one. Now the way I have my skeeter boat rigged up, I've got the 1 pound spools of line down in my box like this. So I've got that line out. There's my two lines. Now I'm going to tie a blood knot, and you can simply tie a blood knot by getting the two lines together, hold with your left hand, your thumb and forefinger, and then take this tag in and bring it around 9 times. There's 9. Now I'll take this tag in and bring it back to me. Now I'm going to change hands. I'm going to take my forearm, index finger, my thumb, and then I've got a hole right here. Now I'm going to come the opposite way, and I'm going to twist this other tag in 9 times the opposite way. Now, when I came through this hole the first time, I came towards me. Now when I take this tag in the next time, I'm going to go away from me. Okay? So then I have my main line, my 2 tag ends, and these. Now, the best way to do this, I'll put it in my mouth, but and hold these 2 tag ends like that and pull them down. Once you've got it tight, you can pull that together, and that's your blood knot. Okay, now that I've done that, take my clippers, clip that off. Then, without having to go back through my eyes, I can just go ahead and reel up my fresh line. My spool is down in my tackle storage area. Real easy. My big rods have a, this is a 7'6" heavy action impulse rod with a Lew's Super Duty 300. So they have the deep wide spool so they can carry this big line and have a lot of it on there. So I've got my line done. Now I'm going to clip this. And I'm using a 5/16 ounce weight and a 5/0 hook for my big worms. So I use lead. I fish every day. I don't have any tungsten sponsors, so I use a lead weight and a Bass Pro Shops XPS extra wide gap hook. This is the 5/0. And on my big rod, I use a double improved cinch knot. So a double improved cinch knot, you go through like you're gonna make a polymer here, and then you can come around on 20 pound, you can go 1, 2, 3, that's plenty enough for me. And you've got to get this loop in back through here. Here. Then you've got a loop here, and I'm holding my tag in here, and then come back through, wet that, and then pull it tight. You got to pull your tag in, your main line, and your loop all at the same time to get that knot to really cinch down well, since I went 3 times. So I'm going to pull that down, pull it tight, and cut my tag ends. So now I have my weight, my hook, and I need to put a worm on it. And this is a 12-inch worm, so to rig this worm right, I'm going to go in to the bend of the hook, straight in the middle to the end of the hook, out. I like to really keep it straight here so my worm doesn't twist my line. Down. Then all the way up right here, when I'm coming up over this bend, I'm going to bring that worm around and come over my hook twist. I'm going to come over my knot like that. Okay? Now to get this worm to stay like this, I'm going to kind of line it up so I know my hook tip needs to go in right here. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to bend my worm, come right here, get the tip, put into the waist, come all the way through, and then I can skin hook this worm like that. That way it gives me a straight worm. You get a half-second drop on those fish if you can skin hook it like that, but it'll still come through the trees. So that's my Texas rig right there. So that Texas rig, got my weight, got my hook, got my Texas rig all lined up. So now, this is my big rod. This is 7.5 foot heavy action rod, and with the 20-pound line and the bigger 12-inch worm. So this is the big worm rod. Now, for my regular, more general, all-around purpose casting rod, this is what my setup is. And it is a 7-foot impulse heavy action rod with a Lew's Super Duty speed spool with 15-pound Berkley big game. Now I spooled this one up earlier, so she's ready to go, but I wanted to show you the difference. I have a 3/0 or a 4/0 hook. 3/0 seems to be good on this extra wide gap. and then the same size weight, because I want to be able to cast. I need to cast over these fish and get these worms to the bottom, and that bigger weight helps me. Now, a Texas rig, I'm going to a Texas rig when I'm fishing a place that has brush piles or has some trees in it, so we can get it into that cover and get it out of there. So I've got two different rods depending on where I pull up. I've got the 7.5 foot heavy action impulse rod with 20-pound line and the bigger worm, the 12-inch worm, and then the 7-foot impulse rod with the 15-pound line with the 10-inch worm. So now let's get to fishing and see if we can catch a big old bass out of